Well, hello, and welcome again to the 2012fat.com. I will be your host for this evening, and my name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night we talked about the hidden art of the closed mind, and how it is our nature, for some reason, not to see things that we don't want to see, not to see things that are unpleasant or too ugly to deal with, even when dealing with those ugly truths would save our lives, our families, our country, even save our world. Our nature is not to see anything that we don't like. However, we do listen to the beautiful lie, even as we can see with our own eyes that the ugly truth is staring us right in the face. I guess it gets back to the two hardest things that I ever learned to say, the first being the word no. No, you will not lie to me. No, you will not hurt me. No, you will not use me. No, you will not cheat me. No, you will not steal my life. No. And the other thing I learned to say is a phrase that I use quite often, and I strongly suggest you use the same phrase. I listen to what you say. I watch what you do. And this is a great way to clear a room of corporate managers, project managers, politicians. The two things that they are terrified of is the fact that you'll listen to what they say, but you'll actually watch what they really do. And if they're not the same thing, get rid of them. It also works for girlfriends. Now, both of these concepts, both of these statements go against our nature. Our nature being that of the hidden art of the closed mind. We're like little children. We're afraid of the monster under the bed. And we convince ourselves as we pull the sheets up over our head in the night that if we cannot see the monster, it cannot hurt us. Well, yeah, actually it can. You and I have been on this earth for 2.5 billion years. I really think it's way past time for you and I to grow up and to face the monster that's under the bed. Because the truth is, there is a monster under there. But it's only the monster you make it to be. The monster under the bed is a parasite. It's a coward, which is why he's really hiding in the first place. If it was a real monster under the bed, it wouldn't have to hide. But like our masters, the monster under the bed is a coward. It's a bully, it's a thug, and it's something that has no power over us at all. It has no power in our world at all, none. Only the power that we give it. So, you see the monster under the bed? Punch him in the nose. You just have to do it once, and you can then sit back and watch him go screaming out into the night, wetting himself in fear, gibbering, and saying things like, "No fair. You fought back. No fair." I know this because I've seen it with my own eyes. I myself have punched the monster under the bed in the nose once or twice. And it was really quite startling. Didn't want to, but it frankly just never left me a choice. And so tonight I thought we would chat about the forever asshole. Now, I normally don't like to swear, to use profanity, naughty words. Not for any moral or religious or cultural reason, but for the simple basic truth that swearing degrades us. When you swear, you're degrading yourself. That's basically it. It has nothing to do with religion, culture, morality, nothing. It is a fact that using naughty words actually lowers our intelligence. And frankly, at this point in history, we need as many brain cells working as possible. Now, on the other hand, sometimes a dirty word is the only one that actually works, because it's necessary, because it conveys a specific feeling, a specific concept, like nothing else can. Someday we'll cover those when I'm feeling particularly naughty, or quite, frankly, blunt and trying not to be angry. On the other hand, what you and I must always do, if I may suggest, you and I must always call things by their real names. We must call things what they are. In America, in English, there's an old saying, if it walks like a duck, if it has feathers like a duck, if it has a beak like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You and I can never be politically correct, because being politically correct is just another tool our masters use to control us. If you cannot call something what it is, if you cannot say what you mean, if you have to pretend that right is wrong, that up is down, and that war is peace, then everything is lost. You're done for, you're gone, you're doomed. So, again, if I may suggest, you and I must call things what they really are, while trying, at the same time, trying not to turn off the brains of the people we're talking to. And a really good example of this is words we should never use. For example, the phrase, New World Order. Don't call it that, because it will automatically turn off the brains of the people you're talking to. Why? Well, we've all been conditioned by Western media, movies, TV, news, magazines. They program us to turn off our brains when we hear certain words and certain phrases. And of course, I could tell you endless stories about how I'm talking to people, and it's always the women who give me this look on their face and roll their eyes and, oh, not again. And I'm thinking, I'm just trying to help you. And this is where naughty words come in, you stupid bitch. I don't want anything from you, but this is something you really need to know. I don't bother anymore. So again, words we should never use, New World Order, let's not call it that, because actually it isn't. There's nothing new or order about this. What it really is good business. To destroy all life on earth to our masters is really good business. To sacrifice us in a I don't know how you say, a plague of fire, a fireball that'll sweep around the world when they turn their harp weapon on us. It's really good business. They only want 500 million of us as slaves, as an army. The other 6.5 billion they want dead. And of course they want us dead in the most horrible ways possible. That has nothing to do with anything new. It's not a new concept to them. This is part of the great work, a religious belief that our masters have. That's Satan. Whether Satan exists or not doesn't matter. Our masters believe it. And they're willing to sacrifice you and me for their religious beliefs. If you have ever tried to talk to someone about their religious beliefs, you know it's not something you want to do, because their minds are absolutely, utterly closed to reality. I guess this is why you and I will never have a meeting of the minds with our masters. But the forever asshole is something that we all know about. This is something we've done business with before, something that we tolerate in our lives, usually more than one. It can be a man or a woman, or in this case, a male or a female. To simplify our chat for this evening, I just thought we would call it a thing. So what is the forever asshole? In the simplest possible terms, it's a used car salesman. It's something, someone, something that we tolerate in our lives, even though we know it's going to lie to us. We know it's going to cheat us. We know it's going to use us. And if all possible, its goal is to leave us gasping in the mud, broken, penniless, homeless, and destroyed. We call them our masters. We call them the Mandarin class. We also have another word for them, politicians. Now we all know that politicians do nothing but lie. And then we elect them, and then they lie to us again. And at some point in time, we're surprised by this. I include corporate management in the same category as politicians, the forever asshole, because the job description is the same. Motivating people to do things that will benefit them and destroy you. This is the best definition I have today of a politician. Now, over and over and over, good people tell me that they do not want to go into politics because they don't want to be involved in anything so dirty. They don't want to get their hands dirty. Okay, that's fine. So if you, a good, honest, intelligent person, does not want to go into politics, who does that leave behind to do the job of running our countries? The scum of the earth. Again, New Zealand was a really educational event for me. I learned so much there. I learned things that I never, ever conceived would be possible or would ever believed were possible. One of the things I learned in New Zealand was that 40 years ago, there was a fundamental change in the politics in the country of New Zealand. And for the first time, true hatred entered into the picture. Now, there's always been the white New Zealanders, the Pakeha, they call them Pakeha. It was always the Pakeha's hatred of the black folk, the Maori, the natives who'd been there for hundreds, thousands of years. The Maori are not native to New Zealand. They know clearly they came from Hawaii. But the Pakeha, the white folk, always looked down on the black folk, the Maori. But that was just, basic, I don't like you, you're black sort of thing. I'm talking about hatred. Hatred of everything, hatred of everyone, entered the politics, the culture of New Zealand with, I guess I'd say, with a vengeance about 40 years ago. And as this hatred entered politics and business and the corporate structure, the best and the brightest of the people of New Zealand fled their country, never to return. So again, the question is, or the statement is, if the best and the brightest of your people flee your country, never to return, who does that leave behind to run the country? The morons. And that's what we have in the United States and Britain today. The best and the brightest of us refuse to serve in government. They don't want to be dirty. So who's left to serve? Who's left to rule us? The trash, the filth. The royalty of each of these countries moves into positions of staggering and truly frightening power. Because good people don't want to be dirty. At the founding of the United States of America, the constitutional republic, not the current United States of America Incorporated, the offshore corporation. When the original United States of America, the constitutional republic, was created, the founding fathers expected that the rich, the powerful, the intelligent men of their time would, once in a while, dedicate time away from their personal businesses, their plantations, their farms, whatever, and they would dedicate 4 or 5 years of their time to their country, and then go back to their plantations, their farms. During this 4 or 5 year period, these experienced men would give their knowledge and their guidance and their wisdom that they had collected in their lives to the benefit of their country. They would serve in office for a few years and then leave. During that time, they would provide leadership and guidance. But it was always understood it was only for a few years, and then they'd go home and pass the job on to the next very qualified person. This way, wisdom was shared with their country, not for personal power, but for the good of all. Those days passed away very quickly, and the governing of our country passed in the hands of the petty thug, the criminal. What the newspapers used to call robber barons, what today are what we call street gangs and murderers and corporations. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank is a wonderful example of this. The Federal Reserve Bank, what a great name, good marketing. It sounds like a branch of the United States federal government. It sounds like we elect people to run it, people who are responsible to us for its operation. It sounds like there are teams of government officials overseeing that the Federal Reserve Bank runs under the laws of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. That's what it sounds like. No. None of that is true. What the Federal Reserve Bank is a privately owned offshore corporation with no government oversight at all. What the Federal Reserve Bank really is a printing press. That's it. It is a printing press, and it charges us to print our own paper money for us. Now, I thought about this, and I think the easiest way to understand what we've fallen for, the con that these robbers have pulled over on us, these thieves, these gangsters, let's look at it this way. And I'll tell you right now, this is very upsetting. It took me a couple of days to do this because every time I read it, it really upset me. Let's say you live in a small town. Americana, Ma and Pa Kettle, Norman Rockwell. The paper boy rides by on his bicycle every morning and tosses the newspaper up onto the lawn, and you're out there watering the flowers, and grandma's making an apple pie next door. An American town, what we would like it to be. And as a good American citizen, you pay your taxes. Now you pay your taxes, so you've got a mayor that you elected, and the mayor runs the town for you. Then your taxes pay for the police, the fire department, the hospital. It pays for the teams of workmen who go out and keep the sewers repaired and keep the water clean and keep the roads mended. Now, since it is a small town, you go to City Hall whenever you need something done for, printing. You go there, you print out your resume. You need copies of your resume. You use the copy machine at the City Hall. Well, that's okay because you pay for it. If you need a secretary, the secretary at City Hall's bored. She needs something to do. So you ask her to type some stuff up for you. Simple things. It's Americana. And life is pretty good. There's a country fair every year. On the weekends, there's a bake sale for the Cub Scouts. The Girl Scouts are holding a jamboree. It's that picture of America. And then one day, the mayor of your little town uses his executive authority to pass a law. He uses his power as the mayor to pass this law, which means as it's an executive order, you don't have the right to vote on it. You don't get to express an opinion. It used to be in little towns in America, they had town meetings where everybody got together in that little town and voted face to face on the laws that govern that little town. No, this is an executive order. All of a sudden, the mayor has used his executive authority to pass what he calls an emergency law. And it doesn't seem like it's a big thing. It just seems very strange. The mayor passes a law using his executive authority that says that no one in town can ever use the office facilities at City Hall anymore. You can no longer go to City Hall and print out a resume. You can't go to City Hall and make copies of your resume. Okay, that's a little strange. Okay. But see, now you've got to print out your resume. Where are you going to go? You're looking for a new job, but you need copies of your resume. All of a sudden, you can't go to City Hall anymore, but you are required for any kind of printing jobs. You have to use the one and only print shop in town. There's only one. You look at the law, the executive order that the mayor passed, and it says that for all your printing, you have to use this one little print shop in town. That's it. No other print shops are allowed to set up shop in town. And if you're caught going out of town for your printing needs, it's a federal offense. The police will actually stop you, pull you out of your car, pistol whip you onto the ground. And if you mention the Constitution of the United States, it says, you can't do this, the cops have a legal right to shoot you in the head. It's in the executive order. That's kind of strange. Well, okay, I'm an American citizen. It's a law, but it doesn't make any sense to me. The hidden art of the closed mind says I will go along with the law, even though it doesn't make any sense to anybody. And because you've forgotten the magic phrase, I listen to what you say, I watch what you do, you didn't happen to notice that your mayor, this very fine, prestigious-looking fellow who comes from a good family and always dresses well, he dresses like a banker, is a drunk. He's a gambler. And he's a fool. But you don't see any of that because of the hidden art of the closed mind. You don't see any of that because you forgot the phrase, I listen to what you say, I watch what you do. Now your mayor, the drunk, the gambler, a fool, who only got the job because he hired a very expensive advertising agency, or rather his family did, because they wanted control of this little town of yours. For whatever reason, the railroad's going to go through it, and they want to charge taxes on it. The new superhighway is going through here. They want to be able to set up restaurants and gasoline stations and pollute the landscape by making money off of you. It doesn't matter why. But the mayor's a fool. And so to pay off his debts, he signs this executive order on behalf of the people who own the printing shop. So now they have control of all the printing in your little town. Also, the mayor's not going to go to jail because he drives drunk and he ran over some of your children. But you didn't notice that because of the hidden art of the closed mind. Because you're a law-abiding citizen. But, see, you need your resume printed because you want a better job. So what choices do you have? You can't go out of town. You can't go on the internet. You've got to go to the one and only print shop in town and ask for 10 copies of your resume to be printed out, and you just want to mail them to possible employers. So you're told, yeah, certainly no problem. And then you're astonished by being overcharged by this very simple print job. And then you're presented with another bill. It's more like a contract. In this bill, this contract states that any money that you make from any job you get as the result of any of these resumes, you owe this little printing shop 5% of your income for life. What? Huh? This is the point where you, a good, law-abiding citizen, still believes that your mayor has your best interests at heart, although you can't understand what's happening. But it's a law. But it must be a mistake. This is, after all, America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. These things just don't happen here. So, you let it go because the hidden art of the closed mind. There's evil staring you in the face, but you just can't see it. It's the monster under your bed. You just figure you pull the sheets up over your head, the monster can't hurt you. So you let it go. You mail out your resumes, you get a really good paying job, and you've forgotten all about that really odd contract you were forced to sign at the printing shop. It was so odd, it couldn't possibly have been true. This is, after all, America. These sort of things just don't happen here. So now you have a new job, a good paying job, a job that you earned, a job that you worked hard to get. You worked very hard, and you're very proud of the fact that you worked very hard to be the best at your job. You attained a certain level of knowledge, of expertise, and frankly, you deserve a good salary for all that hard work you've done on yourself. You're proud of the job you do. You're proud of always doing a good job. And then you get a bill. But it's not from the printing shop. It's from your bank. Your bank has taken 5% of your salary. It's, direct deposit. They've taken 5% of your new salary out of your bank account and given it straight to the print shop in town. You're stunned. You didn't think it was possible. You just convinced yourself it was some sort of misunderstanding, a joke, maybe, I don't know. But no. Deadly serious. The bank just stole 5% of your paycheck and gave it to the printing shop without your knowledge, without your consent. You call the bank. They will not talk to you. You call the mayor, who you thought was a personal friend of yours. He will not talk to you. But losing that 5% out of every paycheck, now you're having some problems. The house needs work. The children need braces. The car needs repairing. Without the car, you can't drive to the next town where your job is. Now, the utility bills go up. The cost of food goes up. Nothing has changed in the world other than the fact that the mayor of your little town is still a drunk and is still a gambler and is still a fool. He's now signing orders, executive orders, now that he knows he has the power. And the people behind him know that he'll do it because they're paying off his debts. They're keeping him out of jail from drunk driving and killing people, and they're covering that up. They did this to Winston Churchill in World War II. The mayor is still a drunk. He's still a gambler. He's still a fool. Now he's signing executive orders all over the place, allowing new companies to come into town, giving them the sole franchise for what they do in that town. Electricity, telephone, cable TV, trash pickup, that's a big one. And they're hiking the rates, but you don't have a choice but to use them because they're the only companies in town providing that service. They don't have competition in your little town. So now your bills are going up. The services are going down. You're not getting anything you pay for, and the price goes up. And you're getting shorter and shorter of money. So what choice do you have? You go back to the printing shop and you ask them to print out even more resumes because now you need an even better job. And so they print out the resumes for you. Happy to do it. We're also happy to remind you that you will owe them 5% of everything you earn from these resumes. And then you lose your job because your boss found out that you were planning on leaving him anyway. Now you discover you have no income. But that 5% of what you were making is still being taken out of your bank account every month. You don't have a job anymore, but the print shop still wants their 5%, and they're going to take it. Soon you have no money left, but you keep going back to the printing shop to print out even more resumes because you're still looking for a job. And every time you do that, you owe them more money. Whether you're making any money or not, they're first in line. Soon, you die. Your heart gives out from the stress. You're heartbroken. Where's America? You cannot afford clean, nutritious, healthy food anymore because you don't have the money. And the medicines that the doctor was giving you, who is also a drunk and a fool and a gambler and a liar, the doctor doesn't know anything about you because he doesn't bother to spend time with you. But he is under contract with the drug companies to fill you full of drugs, which are all based in petroleum, which is a poison. The doctor makes money by giving you this prescription so he can afford his rather luxurious lifestyle. The pharmaceutical companies are all owned by the oil companies. So you've got drugs made out of petrochemicals, oil. The pharmaceutical companies are in turn owned by the oil companies. The oil companies also own all these chemical companies which puts poisons into your food that are all based on oil that make you sick. So the foods you buy at the grocery store make you sick from the poisons in them, the pesticides, the artificial flavoring, the artificial filler, the artificial coloring make you sick. So you go to the doctor who gives you even more oil-based chemicals to cover up the symptoms of your sickness, and then you die. What a surprise. So now you're dead, so what happens now? Your children inherit your debt. The family home is now sold because the printing shop wants their money. So now your family doesn't have a home. And your children, well, their wages will now be stolen every month until your debt, plus interest, plus late fees, is paid in full. Now, how did your children get their jobs? They don't have enough experience to get good-paying jobs, but they still need a job. So where did they go to get their resumes printed? They went to the same printing shop. And so now you see the cycle of debt gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and there's no way out. This is where you and I are today. The Federal Reserve Bank is nothing but a printing shop that prints out our paper dollars for us. And for the privilege of printing out our paper dollars, our dollar bills for us, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a privately owned company, it's not even owned by Americans. The Federal Reserve Bank gets 5 cents out of every paper dollar they print for us, and they get paid in advance. We are broke even before we start. This is why today we, the American people, you and I, owe the Federal Reserve Bank, a privately owned offshore corporation, $14 trillion. Why? Because they print out our dollar bills for us. It's the law, signed into effect by the same collection of liars and thieves and crooks as the mayor in your little town, by a corrupt president, a corrupt Congress. They sold us out for their own benefit. The forever asshole, the used car salesman in Congress, the forever asshole, the used car salesman in the White House. They sold us out without a pause, without wavering, without a second thought. The question now is, what will you do? Well, I could make a suggestion. I would suggest that you and 1 million of your closest personal friends, all with loaded guns, all in plain sight, because remember, under the Constitution of the United States of America, the constitutional republic, you're a U.S. citizen. You have the right, under the Constitution, to bear arms against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And you should, with 1 million of your closest personal friends, wander over to Washington, D.C. Just visit. You also have the right, under the Constitution of the United States of America, a constitutional republic, to make a citizen's arrest. And the gangsters in Washington, they gave us a wonderful tool that we can now use for our own benefit. It's called the RICO Act. Under the RICO Act, the gangsters in Washington and Wall Street were able to rob people of everything they owned in the world, their money, their cars, their home, their clothes, their jewelry, their gold, not because they had broken the law, but because these gangsters could say, we have a suspicion that you're doing something illegal. We have a suspicion that you're a criminal. And because we have a suspicion, but no proof, we're taking everything in the world that you have and giving it to the government, which in this case means giving it to the gangsters. But you know, the RICO Act is still in effect. And I have a suspicion that Ben Bernanke is a criminal. I have a suspicion that both George Bushes are criminals. I have a suspicion that Obama is a criminal. So under the RICO Act, I don't have to prove anything. I just have a suspicion. So I can take everything that they own in the world and give it to whomever I want. The government of the United States, for example. Well, under the laws of the United States of America, the constitutional republic, the people are served by the government. So what I would do with that money is I'd give it to the people. I'd start with myself and the 1 million people of my closest personal friends who marched on Washington and arrested these people. Who would I arrest? Well, I would arrest the Congress, the guys running the Federal Reserve Bank. I would arrest the IRS, the CIA, the TSA, the president and all his pals, as well as this newly created super Congress, which is a totally illegal government agency. And you know what? Just for fun, I'd put them on trial. After, of course, I paid myself and everybody who came with me from the assets we seized from these people. All of their assets, all of their bank accounts, plus their trust funds. Don't ever forget the trust funds. So now we've got money back in circulation. Guess what? The Depression's over. Our money, which was stolen from us, has been taken back. We paid ourselves. We paid the people who are now going to put these criminals on trial. We paid the people who are running the jails. Well, we've got to fix the roads so we can get back and forth to the jail and the courthouse. We have to hire people to fix the roads. We're going to need electricity, so we need to fix the infrastructure that brings electricity into town. We're going to need food, so we're going to pay the farmers. We need food, so someone has to drive a truck out, pick up the food at the farm, and bring it into the city. Well, we're going to need fuel for that, so now we have to buy fuel, which means we're going to need gas stations, which means we're going to need repair shops. Our children are going to need clothes. That's the answer. Take our money back from the forever asshole. And again, under the RICO Act, which these gangsters created to rob us, we're now going to rob them back because it's all legal. More than that, it's just. And even more than that, it's fair. The choice is yours. May you live as long as you wish. May you love as long as you live. For the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel finding his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.